development planner, but also with the MPP. But in the studio currently is Kwame Jantua. He's a lawyer, energy consultant, an entrepreneur. Should I add a businessman as well? But he's somebody who cares for Ghana as well. All of us do care, though. But he's also a member of the CPP. And Kwame,
Deputy General Secretary.
Okay,
of the CPP.
Deputy General Secretary of the CPP. And thanks for joining me, Kwame.
Good morning, Roland. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Yes,
Over the weekend, we woke up to a very sad news about a shooting of a DC of Nkwanta South, and Kwejo Kenyeso is his name. It goes by the first name Peter, though. And following that, many of the appointed officials who are other metropolitan, municipal, or district chief executives seem to have gone all this wild about their safety, etc. Should we be worried about the safety of public officials?
Are we saying that DC should have police escorts and all that?
Well, if you monitor the media reports, it seems to be. Even the members of parliament are saying security should be taken seriously.
We can't even find money to pay teachers. We can't find money to pay teachers. We can't find money to do so many things. I think personal security is important. Yes. And if DCEs feel that, you know, their lives are threatened, let them hire their own security people. I think, you know, we should be very careful how we're spending the country's resources. And I think also importantly is to check the proliferation of handmade weapons. And what does this all boil down to? Lack of employment. You see, it looks like a vicious cycle. It goes on and it comes back. If people were employed, yes, you have some miscreants within the society who would want to do crime, but a large number of people would be working. We don't know who shot this gentleman. We don't know the reasons why he was shot. Was it a personal thing? Was it something he did that the man didn't like? I mean, we don't know. And I hope the police are investigating, the police can come out with something. But the other question I ask, the police in that area, will they have the wherewithal to investigate such a crime? Vicious cycle. We need to sit down and have a huge paradigm shift in terms of our agencies, in terms of how we set this country going. Because it looks as if, you know, one person has done it now. It happened before with the journalist in Kumasi. Have they found the person who shot him yet? No. And this man might be a breadwinner for his family.
He is actually.
Yes.
Does it mean that particularly for the public officials who could be members of parliament, etc., should be given needed security? Because yesterday they were talking about the need for them to be provided with adequate security, etc.
Can we afford it, Roland? That is my question. Can we afford it? What is the ex, what do you call it, what's his name? The ex Black Star coach, what's his name?
Kwesi Appiah.
What is he in court for? Apart from his own bonuses. He's also fighting for his driver.
Yes.
Will we have the money to do that? Where does that responsibility stop? So if the security guard hasn't been paid his due, whose responsibility would it be to fight for him? Does it mean we have to take more police so that they can also perform these duties? Yes, the security issue is something that we should look at. But can we provide security for everybody? Here in multi-choice, do you have your own security?
Multimedia.
Yeah, multimedia. Do you have your own security? Well, if something were to happen today and some crazy person walked in here and committed some
Just private
crime.
Security.
Do you have private security here?
Yeah, that's a private security.
Okay. So if you set something on the set and it goes against somebody and they threaten to do something to you, whose responsibility would it be for your protection? Would it be multimedia, or would you have to find your own security? I mean, yes, publicly, we have public servants, but really and truly, my thing is, would we be able to pay for it? They don't come cheap.
Okay, so it's something I guess we all have to ponder over. Yeah. And as a country, as we ponder over some of these things, the question also is, can we afford, as you've already said? Okay. Now, let's move on to a subject that has been raging on, I believe, over the last 2 weeks. And the public sector workers are giving the indication that they will go on strike concerning their second-tier contributions as far as their pensions are concerned. They had declared a strike. Yeah. Government had gone to sue them in court, and following that, an injunction also had been sought. Well, you are also a legal practitioner, and following that, they had to obey. Yes. Otherwise, they'll be in contempt of the court. Yes. They've called it a strike. Yes. But they gave a threat. Yes. There was a caveat. Yes. That after the time elapses of 8 days, yes, they have no choice. Yes. If their concerns have not been addressed. Yes. Embedded in those statements are deep-seated disagreements with government. Yes. Are they not?
And government is also saying that they are ready to take it right to the long haul. Right to the hilt. So we are in for a battle.
What are the implications?
The implications that will have an impact on you and I.
Well, we do understand that, but yes, what will be the implications on this whole disagreement and the state of affairs as far as we're concerned in the management of the second-tier contributions of the public sector?
You see, for me, it's a question of trust. It's a question of trust. It looks as if the labor unions, and they don't trust government to be able to handle their funds properly. The question I've asked in all this, have they been able to show that the monies that have been put away for these workers, have they been able to show that the money is there? Because we hear different, what do you call it, versions. The minister says it's 400. Some other person says it's 1.6 billion. So what is what?
Now it's been clarified. The last press conference by the National Pensions Regulatory Authority said that they contributed in excess of 1.6 billion. Yes. And following that, those contributions were invested in T-bills, and it generated in excess of some 400. And in total, you have about, is it 2.1, almost 2.2 billion.
Fair enough. But the minister is also saying that one reason why government wants to handle this is because they cannot trust any private pension company to handle the monies properly in case anything goes wrong. However, in the law, there is a clause in there that any private pension company that is handling these funds would have to take out insurance against...
Have you read the law?
Yes, it's here.
What does it say?
Let me see if I'll find it. I was looking at it. I was looking at it before we came in. Let me see if I find it.
Now, going as far as we're talking, particularly, well, both sides having an interpretation of the law in diverse ways. Yes. What does it mean that government has different interpretation to the law vis-a-vis what the workers also tend to
that is why in court you have the defense, you have the prosecution.
Oh, definitely.
Everybody has their own way of weighing it out, and it's up to the judge to decide who is who and what is what. So, interpretation of the law, yes, government has taken it to court. Although, if I can find the governance.
Is it the part that talks about who manages what?
No, it talks about the second tier system.
The management of the second tier contribution.
The management of second tier contribution. It talks about the fact that any trustee who is handling the pensions would have to take out private insurance against any malfeasance that might crop up in terms of handling those funds.
Oh, what do they mean? So it means that
if it so happens that, let's say...
You lose. Let's say the company folds up.
Yeah, the company folds up.
That is the company that has taken the insurance, or that is...
It is handling the funds.
That's the manager?
Yes, the manager. If something goes wrong, at least they've taken insurance against things like that. So when government comes out and says that we want
some sort of reinsurance?
Yes, we want to handle the funds so that in case such a thing happens, it doesn't fall on government to now...
So government wants to be the insurance holder?
I don't understand why government can't sit around the table and say, okay, these are the list of insurance companies. They've given reasons why they chose one or the other. and ask the second tier holders, do you agree to this? Don't you agree to this? It is your money. Yes, we want to manage it on your behalf, but it is your money. Would you agree for us to use this company? Won't you agree for us to use this company? And why? These are the reasons why we are choosing this company, and we can come to some agreement.
What's your thought?
I think that is the way it should be.
What should be?
I think there should be an option. Anybody who
that a section of public sector workers will decide to choose private firm managers.
They should give them
then a section would also have the option of having government choose a private.
They should give them the option. It is their money. It is not the SNET contributions that they are making. It's second tier. It is their money. Give them the option. Have a way of jaw-jawing with them. It is their money in the end. And you see, because of that, it brings this doubt that no, government has used the money for something. It could be that government hasn't used the money for anything, and the money is there. But government has to prove to us, show us a bank statement of that money being there. And that would put that question or that doubt to rest.
What more do the workers want? We've had a press conference convened by the NPRA that gives an indication that there's a sum total of contribution plus interest based on the investment. Yes. So what more do they want as evidence?
It could be that that was the interest by the time the money was spent. Well, I'm not saying the money has been spent, but it could be that they want to see proof. Show them proof. It's like you put your money in a bank, and then you go and they say, oh, the money, you tell them, show me proof. This is what I paid. Show me proof that my money is there. I believe that if government is able to do that, it would bring the temperature down for people to now sit and say, okay, let's talk about who handles this money. But to go against each other, how long is it going to go on for? We are heading into Christmas. How long is it going to go on for? They will take an entrenched position. Government takes an entrenched position. Who wins?
Okay. At the end of the day, when government, as the sole employer of the public sector workers, decide, in its own estimation, and based on the powers that it has as an employer, decides that, well, I'll go to the length of even deducting from your earnings your absenteeism. Who loses?
Both sides lose.
How?
Government will lose. People aren't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
People are not going to work.
Yes, they are not.
You go to the ministries, you want something done, there's nobody there to do it for you.
Now they are.
Our children won't go to school. Doctors won't go to the hospital. It will affect all of us. The workers too, you would not have a tenure of work, employment. Because the government now decides that, okay, if you're not coming, we are sacking all. Where will it end, Roland? Is it necessary? This argy-bargy that is going on, is it necessary? And really, for me, the president should step in. The president should step in. What is he president for? What is he president for? He's president to manage the affairs of Ghana.
But is it not why he has appointed various ministers? And the ministers, we never know, perhaps maybe taking some instructions from the president.
Are you telling me that because he's put ministers in place, we are happy with the way this thing is being handled? Isn't that why we are sitting here discussing it?
Are you in doubt whether the president is in direct consultation with his ministers is appointed in charge of employment and labor relations?
I am not in doubt.
Communication,
I am not in doubt. I'm sure they communicate. And I'm sure the president is giving support to the way the ministers are communicating their side of the story. But I believe this has got to do with a huge percentage of people in Ghana who work in the public sector. Come in and sit down with them. Let them see that, oh, a higher body than the minister has now taken this underhand.
Okay, on Tuesday, in this very studio, my colleague Mamavi Owusu-Abuaje had a lengthy chat with Austin Game.
Yes.
And we know Austin Game is a known labor relations and a former minister as well. Now, he said that as far as he was concerned, all this got to do with negotiations. And so instead of going to court, etc., they just needed to negotiate or talk and dialogue. Now, at what point, that is my question, do we say that a law is there and we need to negotiate over the law?
Why don't you? I don't understand why government has taken it to court.
Are you a lawyer?
Yes, but I don't understand why.
I thought the law is written in black and white, and it's explicit.
Yes, the law,
as far as interpretation is concerned.
The law can be written in black and white, but its interpretation can be different. That's why we have the Supreme Court to interpret our constitution. That's why when you have a situation and you don't understand, you take it to court. But I believe that if even government had the right to take this thing to court, which anybody has the right to do, I believe that when you look at the circumstances of the situation, it's up to negotiation. You see, governments come, governments go. Chiefs, they are always there. So if this was a situation where a chief had to sit, then in the long term, you can say the chief might penalize the employees. But government comes, government goes. Let's sit and negotiate. And let's remember that it is the same people that you are argy-barging with who voted you into power. Some of them voted you into power. I think it's a negotiation thing. Let's sit around the table.
Well, that's not true. If you look at the voter or the electoral population, we have in excess over 12 million people on the voters register.
Yes.
The public sector workers just number in excess of 600,000.
Whatever the case is, they are Ghanaians, they vote.
And so?
And some of them voted for the government.
But the government also has an interest to protect the interests of the workers as well.
But this is the point I'm making to you.
Perhaps for their naivety, the workers may not be taking that into consideration.
Are you saying that, you see, if this is the case, what I expect even government to do, if they are still insisting, they should have a liability clause. Have a liability clause that you have requested that you want to handle, you want your choice of pension managers to handle the second tier. If anything happens, don't come to us. It is your responsibility. That liability clause should be put in there, if that is the case. Because this argy-bargy going on is not even a good reflection on government. It's not. Because it presupposes that government doesn't have the tenacity to sit and negotiate. It gives that the government does not have the wherewithal to negotiate on behalf, of the people. So if anything bigger than this happens, is government going to take it to court? I think, we are dealing with people. We're dealing with people's pensions. Pensions, how much is it? In the end, how much is it? Yes, the second tier is supposed to give them higher interest. It's supposed to give them a lump sum. It's supposed to be able for them to even use it for a mortgage to buy a house or something like that. Yes. But it doesn't mean that when you have this kind of situation with them, you can't sit around the table. That's why I feel, including the Minister of Labour and Employment, plus the President, should sit around and sort it out once and for all.
Why should the President come in this?
He's the head of the country.
He has a minister.
Oh, please. The fact that he has a minister doesn't mean he can't come in and help in the negotiation. I don't know. We don't know the kind of communication that has gone on between.
Well, precisely. That's why I'm raising the point about
Roland,
him having appointed a minister in charge of employment and labor relations.
That is why, for me, and I know President Kufuor has said the same thing. I believe that Ghana should go back to the Westminster system.
Where
the Prime Minister comes to Parliament. Just imagine John Mahama was a Prime Minister and he had to come to Parliament.
And had a constituency.
Well, the Prime Minister doesn't need a constituency. He has his
But he's in Parliament.
But he's in Parliament.
And will be answerable.
Exactly.
As often as, not once a year.
Yeah, not once a year. All the time. Anything comes up, directly. Opposition will ask you, why is X, Y, Z? And you give an answer. At the present moment, we don't know the kind of communication that has gone on between the minister and the president. We don't know whether it's the president who is now supporting the minister to have this stance. We don't know. We don't know whether it's the minister's stance himself, whether he hasn't communicated with the president. But I believe that the president should come in. The way things are going, if this thing goes on till Christmas, I don't think it will be good.
Again, at the heart of all this is a disagreement about a company, the Pensions Alliance Trust. And government is saying, well, because we feel we owe it a duty to public sector workers, just in the foreseeable future, anything untoward should happen to a supposed private fund or occupational fund manager you may take, which could result in some level of bankruptcy or their inability to manage the funds. And so then you have to fall back on government. We're pointing this. Now, if we look at it critically, following the processes to appoint the Pensions Alliance Trust, there's been alongside the licensing of various occupational funds as well. And we're told that in excess of some 25 or so. Now, in the law is inherent that you have 5 companies as well. And of course, this also includes the Pension Alliance Trust to do the management. The Pension Alliance Trust has been chosen. And as the process of of making that choice was ongoing, government in a press conference, I believe on Monday, said the workers knew and were duly in agreement. Of course, they've come back to dispute that very fact as well.
Well, you and I went there.
No, we're not there, definitely.
So who do we know?
But
who would we know is speaking the truth?
We're notable observers.
Yes, we're notable observers.
And we make commentary as such.
Yes, we do make commentary. But in the scheme of affairs, in terms of the choice of the fund holder, how do we know who's speaking the truth? Because government says when we chose Provident Alliance, you are part and parcel
Pensions
of it.
Alliance.
Pensions Alliance, you're part and parcel of it. They are saying we are part and parcel of it. So, if that is the case, tell us who you want to handle your pension funds, and let's see whether they fall in line.
But government so far has not made that proposition.
But they should make that. They should make that position.
Why? Government says no. Government is government.
Government is government. The government are the people. The people have put these representatives there to manage the affairs of the country. The government are the people, and they are in service to the people and not to themselves. So if government is saying that no, we don't want this, tell us who you want, and let's see whether they will fit our criteria that we're using for, is it Pension Alliance? And let's get.
Why do you think government is so adamant on pension?
I don't know, Roland. They haven't come out to say why. They've said that in case anything happens, people might fall back on government. But it's in the future. Has such a thing happened before? Do we know whether the pension funds in the past has been given to a trustee and it has been mismanaged and people are falling back on government?
Mr. Jantua, you're a lawyer. You're also an energy consultant. You're also a business person as well. Do you know that in other countries, respectively, we've had such fund managers who have collapsed, gone bankrupt?
Oh, yes.
Good. Don't you think it can happen in Ghana?
Yes, but there's a clause in the what do you call it, in the law, which mandates the fund manager to take insurance against such things. There's a clause in the law. So what is government saying? And if that is the case, if you even want to put that aside, you're dealing with monies that are for the people. The monies aren't for anybody. It's their own money. And they say, no, we don't want this. So sit down with them. Tell us who you want. And let's see whether they will fall in. And still, government can still manage it if the people agree to the fund manager they want to use to handle this thing. I do believe that it is possible that the pensioners, the workers, do not have the wherewithal or capacity to identify or to handle it on their own. It could be so. But it could be that they also have the capacity. But there has to be a middle ground.
You can always take a private consultant to give you advice.
Yes, you can. You can always do that. I don't see why government is being so intransigent in terms of negotiating with them. This court thing, really and truly, will not take us anywhere. Yes, they will interpret. Look, you're telling workers to go back to work. What if they go to work and they don't work? You can force a horse to riverside. You can never force it to drink. They go to work, they don't teach their children. They are there. But they are at work. They go to the ministries, they are like a desical in how they handle. What can you do?
So then waiting for their 8 days?
Well,
to elapse?
You can never tell if that is the stance they take. If that is the stance they take, what will government do? I think we should try as much as possible. There are much important things to take care of in Ghana today that government needs to see to. We shouldn't let this thing extend past November.
Could this have been preempted?
Well, I don't know how it started. But once government sensed that labor was going to go on strike.
On this very tangent?
Yes, they should have
done something to avert.
Done something to avert it. It doesn't help us. It's not a good reflection on government. It is not. If it so happened that they were saying that the funds they pay to SNIT, if that was even the case, yes, there I would say it is mandatory. Government would have to come in, and government has a right. But these are funds that are owned by the people who have put it there. Negotiate. I beg government, sit around the table and negotiate. Sit around the table and bring others in.
Have you heard the argument that even though the funds, I mean, en bloc, are said to be for the workers, they are made up of contributions of both the workers and the employer? So what's the point?
Yeah, so what are you saying?
Well, so it means that at least the employer also should take an interest, even though that's not stated in the law, of course.
Well, the employer can take an interest. The employer is entitled to take an interest. The employee has to take an interest. Let's sit and discuss it. I don't see where court comes into this thing. Oh. Yes, probably an interpretation of the law. But the government should know. The government has attorney generals here. They should sit with the attorney generals. The labor people should bring their lawyer. Let's interpret this thing and let's move forward. Really and truly, Roland, I don't see why it is going this far. And I don't see why government has taken this stance that whatever the case is, we will take it to a final conclusion in court. Why? Why? And then when you come and you lose an election, you complain.
You think it's going to end badly for government?
It might not end badly for government, but it will put a bad, what do you call it, stain on government. Because the majority of the people would not trust that government is interested in their own affairs.
I don't get you. We have just about 600,000 workers. They don't form majority of the people.
They are part of the people.
Well, I do understand you. They are part of the people.
It could be one.
Good.
It could be one person.
But how can the interest of 600,000 people form the overall interest of how many people do we have?
Those 600,000 people can change an election.
Well, we know that by the numbers of what can
change an election.
Yes, we know
that. And we are dealing with people's private monies. That is the key. Yes, they might not be the whole population, but we are dealing with people's private monies.
You made mention of trust.
Yes.
Do you think that workers have become trustful of government, and why?
Workers have never become trustful of government. It's not only
distrustful. I mean.
Yeah, distrust is not only in this regime. Workers they don't trust anybody. They haven't trusted government in a long while because, you know, government says they'll do X. X doesn't happen. Government says they'll do Y. Y doesn't happen.
Which government did you?
Oh, I'm generally.
Okay.
Generally, I'm not even talking about really this government. Generally. Government says we will do X. Government says we will do Y. That's why, you know, for me, I say that party manifestos today are useless.
Why?
Absolutely useless. Because it is not linked into a national development plan. It's not linked into a national. It's not linked into anything. We've never had one. We've never had what?
Well, apart from.
Exactly. We have the template. Ghana has the template. If Malaysia, Singapore, Korea came to take it from here, our national development plan, to build their countries, look at where they are today. The only thing we need to do is to take the national development plan and tweak it to today's Ghana and see how we move forward. Because a lot of the
You mean the CPP National Development Plan?
Nkrumah's National Development Plan, yes. It is there. The template is there.
I'm not talking about the present CPP.
Not the present. Nkrumah CPP.
Post-independent CPP.
Yes, post-independent CPP. We did in 5 years. Look at the number of industries that were built out of our National Development Plan. All this Akosombo Dam and Motorway and all these hospitals, they were all built from
and back to the issue, you feel that if we have a considerable national development plan, we will not have strike action by workers agitating for how second-tier pension fees are managed.
Oh, why not? After strikes, they would happen. Strikes would happen. But when strikes happen, if a strike happens here today, I don't think your bosses would say, let's take it to court. They will try and negotiate with you. Has government tried to negotiate with the unions?
Yes.
They have?
Consistently, government has given us those indications through their utterances and their communication with the
unions say that when we go, government is not there. Government says that when we invite them, they don't come.
Is government what is that? Against the word of the union?
Yeah, why should it be so? So when you are calling the meeting, put an announcement in the newspaper. Let all Ghanaians see that you have called a meeting such and such a day for the unions to come and meet up with you, so that Ghanaians also know. But because it's always one against the other, The Ghanaians are not there. Ghanaians are not there when these things are going on. So in order to prove to Ghanaians that yes, this is what we've done, to show the evidence that this is what we've done, put an announcement in the paper. You are there to serve the people. That's what governments are there for, to serve the people. You are not there because of yourselves. And yes, if you have an interest in handling it, let's negotiate. Choose your people, but still, those people you've chosen We would be part and parcel because we have an interest. I mean, I don't understand this court thing, and I don't understand how government is still saying that we would take this thing to its final conclusion. So, if it so happens that it's gone to court, the court interprets it in favor of the employees, what happens?
Meaning what? All the times spent going on strike is wasted?
No. It
would have been for a fruitful cause as far as labor.
It's not on the part, it is interpreted in favor of the employees, not the employer.
Yes, the employees.
Yeah, so what happened? So will you now come and sit and negotiate with me? Is that the time you now come and, because it's in my favor, you come and sit and negotiate with me? No, please. Let's look at this thing holistically and let's sit and negotiate and take it forward, because there are more important things to handle in this country than this.
Well, another group that is also has always been on strike alongside the main strike action by the union, though have not called off their strike action, are teachers. And you know the teachers are on strike.
Yes.
Even though the unions have called off their strike action,
yes,
they have not called off their strike action.
Yes.
Okay, so it's strike within strike.
Yes, strike within strike. Isn't it the same money?
No.
Well,
they are also calling for some allowances.
Exactly.
Okay,
they said the allowances haven't been paid for a certain duration of time. Pay the allowances.
We have Ernest Opoku. He's the national president for Concerned Teachers Association of Ghana. Okay, or Coalition of Concerned Teachers. I think that's the right name to use. Ernest Opoku, a very good morning to you. Are you still on strike?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Good morning. You can clearly see I'm really, really tired. Yeah, that is very true. We declare strike within strike. And the issues have not been resolved yet. But we will issue a statement today as to whether we are calling it off or not.
Okay.
But as we speak, we have not called it off.
Okay. But since I know that you're also part of the 12 unions, are you not?
We are
okay.
We are part of the 12 unions.
All right.
Yesterday, the forum decided to call it off upon the injunction from the court, and we have given government 8 days ultimatum because the injunction can last for 10 days. We believe that by the 8 days, if government is really ready for us to sit and resolve issues, we should be able to do that. If they are not able to resolve issues the way we had wanted it, because yesterday we were supposed to meet government team. Unfortunately, they wrote back to us that postpone the meeting indefinitely. And so you can clearly see government pushback. We have agreed to meet them. They've agreed to meet us. Unfortunately, when the time came, they said they have postponed the meeting without any reason. You can clearly see that government is really not ready to agree for us to move on. And it looks as if government has taken an entrenched position. So what we decided to do is that we have to respect the court, because the same court that government took us, then we have also filed an appearance. And we have 14 days to also open our defense. And therefore, since we believe in the court system, we want to allow the system to flow. And therefore, we want to respect the injunction. And so we have given government 8 days by which the injunction will last. Then, if the issues are not resolved, we can call strike again. But basically, with respect to our issues, I'm talking about the teachers, those that are peculiar to teachers. There was a national action committee that was formed
under the Ministry of Finance. Yes. Don't go into the teacher thing, because when you start, it's not today. Let's talk about the main strike now. So what does it mean? It means that you are going back to work. I mean the unions I'm talking about. I know you teachers exactly. Are on strike. Yes.
It means we are going back to work. I mean, based on the declaration,
okay, we
have agreed to go back to work for 8 days, after which we'll meet again and then decide the way forward.
Now, Mr. Kwame Jantwa, he's a lawyer, but also an energy expert and a member of the CPP, and he's my guest this morning on AM Talk. And he was making an argument that because of the entrenched position of both sides, it could be possible that you have resumed work, but you could have a certain posture of apathy towards work today, or throughout the period as you wait for the injunction period to elapse? Is that possible?
And that is very possible.
Means what? Your members will go to work but not work.
That is not the intention, but I'm saying that is very possible. If you are going for negotiation and you start from positional point of view, there is likely that you may not be able to resolve the issues. You can clearly see that government started the negotiation from a position, and the unions also started from a position. But we believe that we have to allow the law to work, and that is why we have also responded to the issues that so far as the matter is in court, we are ready to also appear, so that even if you are not able to resolve it through negotiation, we should be able to resolve it through the court system. However, based on some of the utterances from government communicators and the way some people, especially even the Minister of Communication, even calling us fools, the word he used was an insult to the integrity of we, the union leaders. It's an indication that, and our members are also aware that even though we have been compelled by the court to go back to work, there is an indication that some people may go without necessarily work. They'll go and sit there. But that is not what we want. That is not how we want it. We believe that we are Ghanaians and we respect the law. We want issues to go so that as Ghanaians, we can all help build a better Ghana.
Okay, let's come to the point of trust. Do you think that all these for which you are on strike could have been prevented or preempted?
Can you come again?
The reasons for which you're on strike. I mean, vis-a-vis the appointment of pensions, alliance trusts, and you as unions also wanting to manage your own funds, that's second-tier funds through the occupational schemes, etc. Do you think these levels of disagreement could have been prevented in the first place?
Exactly, it could have been prevented. Roland, we started asking questions. That was in 2012. And we wanted to know where the money is lodged, how much is accrued, I mean, the total amount that has been deducted. We started asking some important questions. And government was adamant. Government just went to sleep. They did, it looked as if everything was shrouded in secrecy. They were not ready to open up to be the union leaders or to workers. And Roland, you know, it got to a point where there was a committee that was formed by the president, because we even went as far as to the presidency. There was 2 meetings with the president. The very first one was held in Castle Garden, and the second one was held in Flagstaff House. And the president formed a committee. And this committee, we got NPRA boss was a member of the committee, and the Minister of Employment, or Honorable Ismail Asipi, was also a member of the committee. The union has representation. The recommendations of that committee, if the presidency had used or implemented that recommendation, we wouldn't have gotten to this situation. So all these could have been prevented.
Okay, Ernest,
yes?
Why is it that you, the unions, you're so skeptical about pension alliance trusts and government willingness, or perhaps government's position to be involved in the way your funds are managed? Is that not a good thing, so that perhaps in future, when there's some level of bankruptcy with any of the funds, government could always say, well, we've been part of the process all along, and so we can take it up?
Well, we are not saying government shouldn't be involved. That is why we are saying that all these information that is being touted out there are fallacy. If you come to Ghana Education Service, our scheme, the board of trustees is chaired by the director general, who is appointed by the president. Government has 5 representation on the board. So we are saying, if government wants to take away the 5 and bring political appointees to the board, we are okay with it. If you go to judicial service, the chairman of the board is government appointee. So what we are saying, government should allow multiple schemes to run. That is what the law says. But government is saying they want to box all the schemes and have one master trust, just like the way they are running SNAP. And we are not happy. That won't bring competition. So the issue is not about we are not ready to allow government to also get involved. The issue is about we should allow multiple schemes to run.
All right.
Basically, the bone of contention.
And Sopoku, thank you very much. As you continue your strike, though, your strike within strike, we're hoping that after you go through your deliberations today, you, the teachers, will draw a conclusion and also go back to the classroom because the children are suffering, really.
Yeah, we will consider that.
Okay, Ernest, thank you very much. And Ernest Sopoku is the president of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers. We have on the line a specialist communication consultant with the presidency, Sam George. A very good morning to you, Sam George.
Very good morning to you, my brother.
Did I mention your position rightly? What's your position on the presidency?
I think that we should go ahead with the discussion. I'm a presidential staff. Yeah.
You are presidential staff. Okay, so now let's go ahead. Well, the unionized groups are saying they were ready for a meeting and then you called it off. What happened?
Well, I think that, let me first and foremost say a very good morning to your viewers and those who listen to us. I think it's incorrect for the unions to say they were ready for a meeting and we called it off. It's on record. It's on record that the minister has, on 3 occasions, invited the unions over for meetings. Now, they failed to show up. In fact, before they called their strike, the day preceding the strike action, the minister was in the office till 7 p.m. waiting for them. He never showed up. The day they started the strike, he was in the office till 5 p.m. He never showed up. I think that in all of this, we must put things in a certain perspective. Government has a responsibility to protect every Ghanaian worker from any unforeseen circumstance.
What about the law?
Now,
what about what is inherent in the law, which specifically states that they can...
I heard my brother Ernest from the Coalition of Concerned Teachers speak, and he said that the law gives them the right to basically run their own schemes. That is completely incorrect. Completely incorrect. You see, you cannot have the teachers. You can't have teachers. The law states clearly that it is an employer-based scheme. You understand me? And so when the argument that they are making is that because they have the head of the Ghana Education Service sharing their scheme or heading their scheme, government is represented. I think we must understand this whole thing. That the employer, as far as government is concerned, is actually government. And in actual fact, His Excellency the President, who is the employer in this case, the President delegates his power to the minister responsible, in the case of teachers, to the minister responsible for education. The minister responsible for education also delegates her power to the head of the Ghana Education Service. But the head of Ghana Education Service cannot suo motu act on his own without being given authorization by his minister, who will also take that authorization from the president.
Okay.
The head of the GES never got authorization from the minister to float a scheme. So that's the head of the GES on his own cannot float a scheme and purport to act on behalf of government. Well, one thing we must all understand here is this whole discussion, what has been the crux of the matter? The crux of the matter is about pension funds and security of this pension fund. We have seen this happen in so many countries, including Ghana.
Okay.
AIG. What happened to AIG? AIG went bust in the U.S. What happened to Lehman Brothers? Lehman Brothers were managing pension schemes.
All right.
They went bust. In this country, we have seen the Labor Enterprise Support Scheme. And what happened to it? At the end of the day, everybody will come back and fall back on government for government to build them up. In fact, recently, we've seen this U.S. tilapia group of companies issue. We need to be careful and protect the Ghanaian worker.
All right. All right, Sam George, as you continue, Sam George, as you continue, let me just read to you. On the website of the MPRA, it's clearly stated that to ensure that contributors' interests are adequately protected, the law has inbuilt safeguards. These include stringent approval and registration criteria by the authority, separation of functions of trustees, fund managers and custodians, ongoing monitoring among several others. Trustees licensed by the authority will be required to take out adequate insurance to indemnify scheme members against any losses of scheme assets caused by malfeasance or misconduct of the trustees or their service providers. So what's your point? You are supposed to take an insurance. So if they want to manage through their own occupational schemes, they go take insurance. So some sort of reinsurance when, as you foresee, hypothetically, that their schemes could go bust or could go bankrupt in the future. So they have an insurance at the end of the period. Is that not it? Doesn't it cater for all the reasons why?
Not at all, Roland. You don't walk into a ditch where you know you break your leg because you have a national health insurance card.
Well, then why do people take insurance then?
No. You should bear in mind that if you have a car insurance, if you have a vehicle insurance, and you intentionally run your car and bash your car, you don't just walk to an insurance company and say, my car had an accident, and then they pay you out. They would actually, the insurance company will actually do due diligence to ensure that it was actually by result of an accident. But if it was by the accident was caused by negligence, the insurance company will not pay. So we should bear in mind that insurance is not a flat thing. You can't just intentionally take a hammer and break all your windscreen and expect your insurance company to replace them for you.
Okay, Sam George.
No.
That's what we end our conversation this morning. Please wrap up for me.
Let me just wrap up for you. I think that one thing we must all bear in mind is that as citizens of this country, we have a responsibility. And we urge the teachers, and in fact, workers in general, that they must be law-abiding citizens. A competent court of jurisdiction has determined that the strike is illegal. In fact, on a sister station, Joy FM, Mr. Watrin Kansa has stated himself that their strike is illegal. The Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. How long are we going to allow people to perpetuate illegality? Teachers who are supposed to shape the future generation of this country must act in the more patriotic and more disciplined way.
Thank you very much, Sam George. And
you're welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Sam George. Our presidential staff are joining us for our discussions. As we wrap up, we seem to be on that very posture of having entrenched positions on both sides.
Yes. You read it to him.
Yeah, he's adamant.
Yes, and this is on the authority's website.
The National Pension Regulatory Authority website.
So if you've taken out insurance and anything goes wrong, you claim the insurance because that's what the insurance is for.
It's for any.
Yes.
When you go bust.
Exactly.
The insurance is for you to go.
Exactly.
Yes. When you go bust, I pay you.
Exactly. So what was he talking about? You see, this is where...
And you go bust not only based on mismanagement or anything.
You go bust on anything. He cited some companies that had gone bust in Europe. Yes. People have insurance against such things.
Yes, and they were paid.
They were paid. So what are we talking about? This is what I don't like it, you know, because it's showing some kind of reflection that it might not be true on government, that the money has been spent, and because government can't account for the money, they are trying to find ways and means of getting out of it. Sit around the table.
Means what? Supposing they agree that, okay, pay the monies into the various occupational schemes, they will not have it.
You see, for me, honesty and transparency is always good. Yes, we have used the money. We use it for X, Y, Z. They are government.
But we will
pay
pay
government. But we would pay it
within a specified period.
Exactly.
Okay. Your point has been.
I'm not saying that they have used it.
No.
If they have.
Well, we're talking about hypotheticals.
If they have.
That is if, conditionally. Okay. Thank you very much. And Kwame Jantwa, he's a lawyer. He's an energy consultant and also the Deputy General Secretary of the CPP. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
So we're taking a break. When we come back, we're talking about procurement. The way we do procurement, not only in our private organizations, but even in the public sector, is the right way to go. Are we adhering to the procurement laws of our country? So we'll be having officials here, great experts coming to speak to us on this very subject. And it's all next. Do stay on.